Okay, so I was doing a few showcases around around the constructive feedback channel, various things in response to various bits of feedback that people were sharing or bringing up, and I got a stupid idea, a real stinker. The idea was that, I made this place. I didn't build it block by block, but I did the mechanics here. I did the design. So, you know what? Why don't I just do developer commentary? Because, I've got things to say. I've got thoughts. I've got insight. For instance, this entrance sucks, and I hate it. And I can never look up during this. So, here we are. Nothing that way, nothing up my sleeves. This music was based off of a song by a music artist I follow, Petriform. One of their earlier songs, Nowhere Yet Everywhere, has a particular motif that was used as the basis for this song, Ever Presence. Corp or Corpe, whichever they want me to pronounce their name as, did a very good job developing on that motif. And the song turned out absolutely great, as well as inspiring Journey later by Xavier. So that's cool. You know what else is cool, but no one else cares about? Door's Gone. This whole thing was supposed to be little pocket dimensions, pieces of reality scattered throughout the Outlook. It's unclear if that came off terribly well, because people are used to getting teleported around to random places. I hope it came across well, but the whole point with this room, this mirror room, mobs spawn when someone crosses the mirror. That means if multiple people cross the mirror, more mobs will spawn. And thus, it goes faster. So it's a bit long-winded if you're doing it solo. And that was the whole point. Because Eldritch Outlook was sort of meant to be a pseudo-raid. That was its whole intended design. It was meant to be very difficult alone because it was intended to be done with groups. And I think we succeeded in that, even though it is soloable with relative ease. I bet a lot of players would disagree that EO is easy, but, relative ease. Like, there's nothing here that I haven't been able to handle as yet. It's worth noting I did the design, but it was basically all on paperwork and with the mobs. It was ideas and those guys, rather than me doing the script work. Someone else did a lot of the designing and the script work and the command work and all that. Lumia, for instance. Oh, did that. Okay, good. That was Poison that did it. Alright. I forgot for a second if the inverse spirits could be hit by other mobs. They can't. The inverse stairs also can't really damage each other. I forget if it's because of the tag or... Oh, even if they don't have the tag, they just can't damage each other because their damage is also what they resist. I'm not going to stick around to test, though. The idea of this side was... Because it was solely inverse stairs, mobs that you didn't need to kill, players might not kill them. But that would lead to them building up and making things more difficult, so you could either quickly run back to the other side to try and get more inverse spirits and get more tokens, or you could take your time, ice them, and have it be safe when you come back over. I can see my house from here! And this room, this bridge room, everyone gets it wrong. I cannot believe it's taken this long for me to give an explanation that's going to stick, but hopefully this will do it. Still, for sake of completion... Spring break! Woo! If you fall into the maelstrom. And in the maelstrom, the punishment room, you've got to deal with some rather aggressive, nasty customers. Mob spamming arrow storms on the walls. These guys will pull and explode very rapidly. When I wanted a punishment room, I wanted a punishment room. I was not holding back on this, because you should not be falling down. Once you've got the gimmick, it's relatively easy to understand. And after that, well, it's punishment. So I made this room pure evil. In a few different ways. One of them being that the mobs like to pull. Another which being you have to jump up that. There's no stairs. So, with that out of the way, let me actually explain how the bridge room works. You see those cracks in the floor? Those are not decorative. There is a reason that the room is bare aside from this. These are supposed to draw your attention. Because when you pass them, mobs appear. Mobs that take a lot of knockback. And that have a lot of health. And deal a lot of damage. You are meant to knock them off. You are meant to take this room slowly. Notably, if you walk back across the regions, they'll spawn again. So, don't walk backwards. I'd rather that not happen, but it's a vagary of the way the script region works. A fun fact about the Takers that I just knocked off is that they have the Shadow Aladar skin. It's not supposed to mean anything. It's just meant to look like it was. Also, those Haphophobes. Haphophobia is the fear of touch. If you kill them somehow, they split into Haphophiles, which is the enjoyment or fetishization of touch. Yes, just take it nice and slow. Archer has it easy with Arrow Shield, but other classes also have fairly easy methods to get rid of them. This is the real trick, because if you're just rushing along, you'll get stopped by that guy shooting at you, and by the stairs that you have to jump up, and then you'll get pulled into the maelstrom. It's a trick room. I do like these little outside segment bits where you can just sort of look out and see, oh, yeah, I am making progress, huh? Then this room. These 9 rooms, technically. They have reversion catalysts. Again, a lot of the mobs in here were meant to sound like they were more important than they are. But the reversion catalysts actually do have a small inclination of story in their names. Because the Shimmer Stars, they're light, right? Well, they're supposed to be. They appear as rope coils, but they're supposed to be shulker bullets. You know, trailing particles, very shimmery and shiny and all that. And what is the inverse of light? Anyway, you can go one of 2 ways. This way leads to more tanky enemies, this way leads to more aggressive ones. We'll take this path first, and then I'll backtrack. But now the light is flickering, and they reveal scale pores. Where'd you go? There you are. This room is laid out like a 3x3 grid. You start in one corner and make your way to the other. You can't ever go backwards. You can only go towards the end. So it's not really a maze, but it seems sort of like one if you're unfamiliar with the layout. But it's the same every time, and you can learn it. And you respawn fast. This one's nice and interesting. the Reversion catalyst in here actually has no basic attack. Those are all the dark cores hitting me. It can only deal damage to you with its spells. Oh, get over here. What are you focusing on? Come on, we're doing a video here. You can't flake on me like this. Only the skill cores are allowed to flake. And the frosters. So satisfying. I'm relatively tanky, and I resist his damage, so that wasn't too bad. But if you didn't, that multi-hits would be incredibly painful. Yes, the scale cores turn into dark cores, and then the dark cores distort as everything starts breaking down. Oh, this guy always gets me. This guy's retreating. So he's real slippery. He's not tanky, but he disappears and he hangs around the edges. He actually does deal a lot of melee damage if he actually starts to attack you, and because he disappears so often, it's easy to lose track of him. As you can see, that was actually a decent 2,000 damage or so. And flamethrower is not the most pleasant of things either. There we go. And now, perks of doing this on the dev server. The next room would have been the last room, so we take this path instead. How everything goes RTD-ish to corrupt-ish, that was more just visual than intended to imply anything, but I bet a lot of people theorized about this, huh? Win Theory Discord, I am your worst nightmare. You will never know what I mean. Where'd you go? There'd you go. Similarly, the Reversion catalyst using the old Heliolux heads was not meant to mean anything in particular. It was just heads that worked for what I needed. But yes, even the scale cores and dark cores and everything have slightly more defensive abilities as you go down this path. One of them is basically just straight up a DPS check. It heals a lot. But this one is not it. This one just is rather slippery. I usually go down the tankier path. Or, not the tankier path, the more damaging one. But that's not because I dislike the tankier fights. It just happens to be the way I tend to go most of the time. This one is the heal checker. But it's not improbable, considering he is nearly already almost dead. Legendary. Wait, I'm on the testing server. Why do I care? I'm not going to show off the middle room because it's basically just an average of everything. But this final room, I like this effect, but it is very disorienting. This boss is supposed to shoot the Shimmer Stars, here in their final stage as colliginous reversions. And this boss has a very specific strategy to it. Depending on the amount of times he teleports, he will use different spells. 3 times, so he's about to use Flamethrower. Once, he's going to use Aerostorm. You'll know when he's about to end his teleports because he uses a heavy teleport. See? Aerostorm. This is very hectic, but again, you're meant to have teammates here. Once, twice, thrice, Flamethrower. If he teleports twice, he's going to use Wave. I forget if he's going to use the heavy variant or not, though. I want to say he will. Tiny balcony. Tiny balcony. Then there's this room, which you have no idea how many complaints we got about this. It is not difficult. Come on, people. Grow up. Learn to look down. It's not difficult. I've done this with like minus 60% walk speed. It's disorienting, sure, but again, that's the point. That fourth level, that blank corner over there, a lot of people won't realize because it got removed relatively quickly, but there used to be a fourth level of this, and that was over in that blank corner. And that was legitimately tricky. But it wasn't difficult. The other 3 layers were not difficult. This is so heavily nerfed, it's practically a time waster. More than it is a challenge. Because there, you saw, I slipped off right at the beginning, but I lost all of 5 seconds to that. The whole point of this room is to be disorienting because as you go further up, which means it's more difficult to tell exactly where you are in relationship to the shapes on the floor, which indicate where the platforms are. They also indicate where there's any solid ground, as shown by here. See? And there was a fourth one that took another path. Xavier actually uploaded another video about that. Talking mushroom? I thought the talking mushroom would pipe up here. Well. Orange fluff for luck. It's gonna be a toss-up as to whether I win this, really. Hello, boy. That's actually an exclusive spell to the eye, surprisingly. Most waves do not go that far, but he has a special version of it called Huge Wave that travels the entire length of the arena, 55 blocks. Oh yeah, the wretches. I wonder if anyone has ever noticed, but if you get too close to them, they start shooting at you. Wave is meant to carry you back towards them, and a lot of the skills in this fight are designed to keep you moving around very much. Lumia, you might have known them before as Conquistador Bob, but now they call themselves Lumia, or Luminescence. A lot of the skills are meant to keep you in the back, keep various people in sort of herded towards various spots in the area. Arrows. Oh yeah, also, cascading arteries. Yummy. Did not mean to arrow shield there. Poke. This actually becomes a unique mob. Oh yeah, safe spot's gone. So I can't just hide in the corner while I'm doing this. I have to actually actively run. It's kind of difficult to see them except through the particles. I'll say that much. They need to light up the ceiling a little better. I'm getting hit. Oh yeah, this is on GM, so these guys actually appear. It's not really a leak because these guys were scrapped at one point. But they're neutral mobs that sit in these safe spaces and will just sort of passively cast spells at you. And they'll zoom around the arena if you hit them. And since they're neutral ranged, they'll counter your attacks. That is a glitch, but I want an AI or a spell that will let them do that. Like, what's that? Looking a little... Well, I guess it doesn't really work because of the, massive negative knockback, but... Oh, did I knock him straight out of the arena? I knocked him straight out of the arena. Okay, I'm just gonna take care of you real fast. forgot the existence of these guys. They wanted to do particle lasers with that, but they couldn't get a coherent particle laser that didn't lag out the server from how many particles it shot, so they used a magma slime train. But yes, this is actually a new mob, technically. Ouch. Also, they're invincible. Technically, you can get a charge off of them for your powder specials, but you can't activate lifesteal off them, which is basically what I'm surviving on here. But yes, the stalking capillaries were meant to sit here in what's effectively blind spots of the eye. Yes, there's the explosion attacks marked by the purple circles, but those are easy to avoid. The stalking capillaries being directly in the way wouldn't be, and it would have them. You saw how they were reacting. They bounce all around the field and cause a problem just by existing. Which, you know, is the point. Yeah, the more hits you land, the more gazers get tossed. So arrow storm is a risky business. This one's easy. I wish they would make this one a little bit more difficult, because, especially compared to the falling eyes, now that the safe spot is gone, this is a relaxing break. Though you cannot see it, I am jamming. Yes, this is the wretches. They, like, transformed and mutilated themselves to get the bigger shape to match the eye and do the lasers. Yeah, they're still here, by the way. And this is the phase where everyone dies. As one does. Because of what everyone calls the wretches, which is the death knell wretch. For those who are not in the know, if those reach the eye or 10 seconds pass, whichever, you take unavoidable 90% max HP damage. Or 90% current HP, I think. It might be both. It might be both. So killing that thing is of paramount importance, so with everything else going on, it becomes a little bit more tricky. Especially if the stalking capillaries are here. I don't know why the gazers are disappearing, but that's happened on Maine too. Don't understand who. That was a bit of an example of the whole, hey, if you attack them, they'll counter you. Yeah. Okay. Let's get this Vu out of the way. The hero motif. Out of this house! Out of this house! Weird arteries be gone from this house. Gonna hold off until you. Hide. Boing. Ow, go away, go away. Ow, 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 stop that. You're being incredibly rude. Oh yes, I feel totally safe here. Son? What son? I just see a bunch of eyeballs. Is one of them named Son? It wouldn't surprise me. But that begs the question if one of them's named Daughter. Yep. Anyway, the difference between the phase is the eye's elemental damage actually decreases per phase, so that it's your element defense becomes less effective as the fight goes on. Additionally, it casts spells slightly more quickly, and the wave spell it casts, it actually throws out multiple waves, so that it will knock you back further and deal more damage if you get caught in it. Yep. Leave. Get the fuck away from me. You're not allowed. No. You're not Ozoth. You don't get to do that. Ozoth shouldn't be doing that either. Yeah. Nag, nag. Woo, woo. Yeah, I'm not getting caught in that. That's the primary reason I die in this fight, is I end up getting caught in the wave, and it just chunks me. What did I just tell you? Go to your room, mister. Wait, we're in your room. Okay, no TV for a week. It's not good for your eye anyway. And, okay, once we get this down to 400,000 health, I gotta start conserving my chain lightnings, because last phase is... whew. We are not out of the woods, basically. Yeah, those magma slimes are entities, and they can and will eat your shots. Only... That is the third time in a row, young sir. Are you even listening to me with those non-existent ears of yours? Back up. Back up. I said back up. Here we go. Alright, let's wreck shop. Lumia describes this phase as a panic phase that's not supposed to be terribly threatening, but it's like a measure of desperation more than it is an actual threat. I disagreed with that. Also, listen closely. Notice the adventure motif. I bet a lot of people have already, but, you know, just in case. Look at all this dosh. Come on. There we go. What a haul! So yeah, that's EO. That's not absolutely everything I could have possibly said about it, but... about sums it up, doesn't it? Oh yeah, and there's a whole secret discovery over there, but no one really cares about that. Except people making fanfics about Bacall asking Durnbeast if he wants anything from McDonald's. Which, don't. The McFlurry machine is almost always down. You will always be disappointed. EO was tricky to design because of that whole pseudo-raid mentality. There was actually supposed to be a fifth room after the parkour that would have led up. There was an extra doorway that just time constraints happened. and, you know, time constraints do happen, it's probably never going to get really used again. Even though the rooms were mostly, like, created build-wise, it would have been incredibly eclectic, but I suppose it doesn't really matter now. So I think that just about ends off the whole commentary. Except... Don't ask why I'm doing this, by the way. I have died, but at what cost? Anyway, time to wake up, children.